The JRRL. What does it truly mean? Just how important is it? How important is it to hoist that trophy? After 17 years, Eric Davis was able to hoist that trophy for the first time. He followed that up with an encore of doing the same thing the very next year. Now, the commissioner and back-to-back champion has a chance to do something special in a three-peat. But to get there, he's got to end perfection. A 6-0 gamer squad that has put their entire brand on the line to bring home a 5th championship. Once a proud franchise, a cornerstone of the JRRL, has started this season unbelievably hot. In one of the biggest matchups that this reporter can recall in a long time, this is what the JRRL is all about. Back-to-back champion Eric Davis looks to put himself back in position and in perfection. It's the JRRL, and it's coming at you right now. I'd like to welcome everybody to a very special edition of the JRRL podcast. There's a lot on the line this week. And as stated in the introduction, history will be made one way or another. History, folks, history. Basically, what we have right now is a tale of two divisions, in my view. We have a division that is beating up on each other in the rider division. We've got two teams that are 4-2 in the Navy and Ditka's. And then we've got three teams that are 3-3. So everyone is at least 500 in the rider division. That's the kind of parity that Commissioner Davis talks about. That's the kind of the parity that he wants. And that's what he's got in the rider division. And even though the Mambas slightly have more points, with just 4 more points than the Ditkas, they find themselves in 5th place because the Navy has a 2-1 division record, whereas the Mambas have a 1-2 division record. This division is going to come down to the very last game of the season. I think we all know that. Then we have the Isaiah division. We've got a team that, quite frankly, is on fire, scorching out of the gates. I certainly did not see this coming. I don't think anybody saw it coming. The Gamers sitting at 6-0, 3-0 in the division, 941 points scored. And in second place, you have General Finkel, who is a very good team, at 3-3, who scored 768 points, which is by far second place. By far. So the Gamers at 941, number 1, and then you have Finkel at 768, number 2. Then you have, for number 3, you got to go all the way to the Mambas at 688. Almost 100 points more. I don't know if I've ever seen such a gap between 1, 2, and 3 before. in all my years doing this, as David Glenn would say. And I've been doing this longer than I would like to admit, folks. In the very unique situation that we have, I've had to make a phone call the last 2 years. It's well documented. To Commissioner Davis, congratulating him on either ending my season and knocking me from the playoffs or keeping me from the playoffs altogether in a win or go home game. And amazingly, the schedule makers, boy, they have the Beards and Gamers going at it in the last week of the season again. So does Davis, is he fiending for these phone calls? I think so. I think he's quite frankly getting off on me calling him, having to congratulate him for knocking me, putting me in my place, and I don't blame him. But now we have a unique situation where the old guard, the Ford Championship, once proud Gamers, still proud, but it's been 10 years since we won a playoff game, so we can't be so proud, are sitting at 6-0 with the whole franchise on the line. The Gamer name, the Gamer brand on the line, and have come out blazing at 6-0, and they find themselves staring at the 2-4 Devilbeards, who desperately need a win. They're sitting in 8th place, desperately need a win. This is what we call must-see football, and I personally cannot wait. It is going to be one of the best weeks of football that I can remember in a long, long time, and I am jacked out of my mind for it. And I know you guys didn't come here to just hear about the Gamers. I get that. But the story is quite compelling. If I do say so myself, it is a compelling story. But now, okay, I'm going to do a quick rundown of that matchup between the Beards and Gamers, and then I'm going to turn my attention to the rest of the league. Frankly, I do not like my matchups this week. And I'm not just doing the all shucks Bobby Bowden thing. I'm not at all. Davis's matchups are better, I believe. Metcalf against Atlanta, I think he's going to have a really good game. Thomas against New England, Pollard against Buffalo, and then you look at my team. You got Downs, who is banged up. Don't even know if he's going to play. Debo going up against Kansas City. James Cook against Tennessee. That's not a bad matchup, I guess. Really, the worst matchup, I think, is Montgomery going up against Minnesota. I don't see Montgomery doing much this week. I've actually flirted with putting in Chubb, but that's kind of hard to do, is to put in Chubb after we hadn't seen him play in, a year and a half. So I'm not going to do that. I got to give Montgomery the benefit of the doubt after the way he's played. There is updated information here about Downs. He's listed as questionable. He's been a limited participant Thursday and Friday. There's just no guarantee he's going to play. So if he doesn't play, the Gamers are going to be scrambling to put in some kind of crazy replacement. Not that Downs is that great, but they're going to have to find somebody, probably even worse than him, to put in. So this is going to be interesting. The odds have been moving quite a bit on this one. It started out, the Gamers were 12-point favorites. Now they're 9-point favorites. So money's coming in on Davis. Smart money's on Davis on this one. The Gamers have changed their defense a couple times. They were going with the Natty against Cleveland. Now they're going with the Rams against Vegas. Davis also has a very good matchup with Buffalo against Tennessee. And he's also got Kareem Hunt, who has come out of nowhere to be like the Kareem Hunt of like 7 years ago. And I don't like that one damn bit. So it's going to be, but hey, if you want to, as Ric Flair would say, you want to beat a man, you got to beat the man. And this is the ultimate matchup here of old guard versus new guard. The old championships against the new championships. The 6-0 record against the 2-4 record. Can Davis be the thorn in the Gamer's side? He has been for a while. Will he continue this trend? To me, that is the storyline of the week. But y'all don't pay me to talk about myself the whole time. So, in other action, 1-5, a team called Best, sitting in 9th place, has already caught a huge break in Alvin Kamara and the Saints losing basically everybody on their team, and him putting up a paltry 5.4 points against the Broncos, and then inexplicably Sutton shut out in the game, completely shut out, putting a 0 ball up there. So right now, a team called Best, he's about a 4-1 favorite. So, you know, this is one he needs, and this is one that typically Coach Smith's going to get this one. Typically, this is a game where a team called Best rises to the occasion. They're not going to go 2-12. They're just not. So I say they're going to get this game. The Dick is already off to a bad start, but they're 4-2. They're sitting in 3rd place. They can afford it. They can afford this loss. I think they're going to take one on the chin here. I mean, Ray McLeod, Devontae Adams is really interesting. Brian Robinson, frankly, I don't think is playing, and he's in the lineup. Aaron Jones also questionable, but you know, I just think there's between Kenneth Walker and Marvin Harrison, Stroud, Pittsburgh's D, there's too much firepower for the Dickies to overcome this hole that they've already dug themselves. I look for Coach Smith to go ahead and win this one. The Chicken Man's taking on Vol Navy. This is a battle of the Rider Division. Chad finds himself in 6th place despite the consensus being that he could be the worst team in the league at one point, and he might still be, but you know, frankly, he's got some players. He's got some guys that can play. Mike Evans, Stephon Diggs has benefited greatly from Nico Collins, and that's with Tyreek Hill losing his quarterback. Mixon has been off the page better than I thought. Dobbins has been way better than anybody thought. Bowers way better than anybody thought. Mooney, I had my pause on him. I let him slip away. He's been good. Then you sit on the bench. DeAndre Swift's been amazing the last few weeks. He's got Pittman on the bench. He's got the running back from Denver, Williams, who just scored 25, who he didn't even bother. He didn't play. I wouldn't have played him either with who he's got. So, frankly, he's got a pretty good team. So, if that's the worst that the JRL has to offer, then my goodness. Now, you got the Navy, who's just wishful thinking, I guess, putting Jonathan Taylor in. But he's not coming. Just like Jonathan Taylor Thomas ain't coming back to home improvement. He's not coming to he ain't walking through that door. So I expect to see Stevenson, who I believe will play for New England. That's he has really good games, really bad games. Mahomes against San Francisco, he'll probably score 1,000. But I'm gonna go with Chad here. I'm still gonna go with Chad. Kirk Cousins, the slinger, the old gunslinger, 2.0. It's pretty evenly matched. Once he gets Taylor out of there, I'm going to go with the Chicken Man to go to 4-3, and the Navy also to go to 4-3. Then we have the General Finkel, who I was just building up, who clearly to me is the second best team in the league. You can make a case certainly for maybe for somebody else, but points don't lie right now. Josh Allen, Drake London, Godwin has been one of the steals of the draft. Just unbelievable. They put him back in the slot, and I don't understand why he didn't do that last year. Now he is feasting. Zay Flowers, feasting. Barkley is playing at the Giants. You don't think Saquon Barkley's not going to have a huge game going to the Giants? Come on. I wouldn't be surprised if Barkley doesn't score 50 against his old team. This is going to be ugly. I'm sorry. Hunter, I love you, man. You're my boy. But he's already had New Orleans' defense go. They only got him 3. He is pretty much at full strength here, but I look for Finkel to roll. Finkel's going to roll, I think. Hunter, I believe, is going to go to 1-6. I believe Finkel will go to 4-3. Jalen Daniels, he's in a kind of a conundrum because he's got Jalen Daniels and he's also got Jalen Hurts. So he's got 2 guys that are, premier quarterbacks, but quarterbacks are not easy to trade. They're just not. It's nearly impossible. So really he's just going to have to play a matchup game pretty much. Or either that or right now stick with Daniels is what I would do. But, Amari Cooper going to Buffalo, I think that helps. That's a shot in the arm for them, certainly. But I just don't think it's going to be quite enough to overcome Finkel this week. Finkel's going to, I believe, go to 4-3. And if Davis can knock off the Gamers, I'm not picking against myself. I will not do that. But if he did, that gets a little tighter. There. So, very interesting. And then finally, we've got the Mambas, the Peachy Mambas, against Victorious B.I.G., who put up one of the worst performances I've ever seen in my life last week. I think they scored 47 points or something like that. Just embarrassing. Well, guess what? They've already doubled that. Or no, check that. They've already got half that with their defense. Denver just eating the Saints' third string alive with 24 points. So the Mambas have a really good team, but I don't know if, they're getting Neighbors back. They're getting Smith back. Jordan Mason is cleared to play. Chain's got a good matchup. Kincaid's been cleared. Philly's got a good matchup against the Giants. But then you look at the other side, and Sam Darnold has been out of his mind. Ayuk, now that he could easily lay an egg. But Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, now that's a question mark. But I would certainly he's going to play him if he plays. James Conner, steady. Williams is one of the best running backs in the league. I didn't ever want to admit it because he plays for the Rams, but he is. He just is. So, and then Eckler is, you can count on him for 10 to 10, I'd say 12 to 15 every week. So, especially with Brian Robinson out, I just don't know that anything can happen, but I'd be crazy to pick it. It would be very disrespectful to pick against Mitch here, considering he is a 65% favorite after his defense. So that would put Big at 4-3, possibly overtaking first in his division, frankly, and it would put the Mambas at 3-4, but still very much right there in the mix. So that's what we're looking at as far as next week goes. You know, I didn't do a rundown of what happened last week, but you guys know what's going on. It's just a buzzsaw. Gamers are the buzzsaw. Fourth straight high score of the week. Our statisticians are saying that has never happened. So if somebody can prove me wrong on that has happened before, 4 straight high scores, please let me know. Please email me on that one. But that has never happened. I'm safe to say that. So we've got quite a interesting, perhaps an all-time type team, but the perfect foil to that is Commissioner Davis and his back-to-back championships. So to me, that's the game of the week. And even though you've got 2 3-3 teams going at it, you got a 3-3 and a 4-2, but the 6-0 and the 2-4, the storyline just writes itself. It's great stuff. I couldn't have wrote it better myself. And I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, and I'm trying to keep these just the right length. You know, yeah, you don't have to say that's what she said. But I'm going to get out of here, and we'll see you on the field tomorrow.